Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiri Nashtaprayesh Labhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Nashtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Canto 4. Today we'll start next chapter 2, Daksha curses Lord Shiva. Text number 1 onwards. Viduravacha bhaveshilvatam shresthe daksho duhitre vatsalaha vidvesham akarot kasmat anadrityatmajam satim. Vidura inquired, why was Daksha, who was so affectionate towards his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who is the best among the gentle? Why did he neglect his daughter, Sati? So this is in continuation from the last verse, where Matrimony said that Daksha used to rebuke Lord Shiva in spite of Shiva's faultlessness. So consequently, before attaining a mature age, Sati gave up her body by dint of yogic mystic power. So Vidurji was kind of surprised by how come Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva. In the second chapter of the fourth canto, the cause of the dissension between Lord Shiva and Daksha, which was due to a great sacrifice arranged by Daksha for the participation of the entire universe, is explained. Lord Shiva is described here as the best of the gentle because he is not envious of anyone. He is equal to all living entities, and all other good qualities are present in his personality. The word Shiva means all auspicious. No one can be an enemy of Lord Shiva, for he is so peaceful and renowned that he does not even construct a house for his residence, but lives underneath a tree, always detached from all worldly things. The personality of Lord Shiva symbolizes the best of gentleness. Why then was Daksha, who offered his beloved daughter to such a gentle personality, inimical towards Lord Shiva so intensely that Sati, the daughter of Daksha and wife of Lord Shiva, gave up her body? So it's very interesting how this whole story unfolds. Why Daksha was so envious of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is described here as most gentle, and because he's not envious of anyone, he's equal to all living entities. And all other good qualities are present in his personality. And that is our Lord Shiva. And here Prabhupada explains Shiva, the word Shiva means all auspicious. So, so nobody can be an enemy of Lord Shiva because he is completely renounced, completely detached, although he has everything, but he's not attached and he doesn't even make a house for himself. I mean, somebody can become envious of somebody else seeing if he has some material things that I don't have. But Lord Shiva doesn't even own a house. He just lives under a tree or in the cremation grounds. And he's always meditating, always chanting. So how can anybody be envious of him? And he's always gentle, he doesn't get angry. Of course, whenever he gets angry, that's a big problem, but he doesn't generally get angry. So, but somebody can still be envious of such a personality. Text. Kastam chara chara guram nirvairam shanta vigraham atma ramam katham dveshti jagato devatam mahat. Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of the entire world, is free from enmity, is a peaceful personality, is always satisfied in himself. He is the greatest among the demigods. How is it possible that Daksha could be inimical towards such an auspicious personality? Lord Shiva is described here as Chara Chara Guru, the spiritual master of all animate and inanimate, objects. He is sometimes known as Bhutanath, which means the worshipable deity of the dull-headed. Bhuta is also sometimes taken to indicate the ghosts. Lord Shiva takes charge of reforming persons who are ghosts and demons, not to speak of others who are godly. Therefore, he is a spiritual master of everyone, both the dull and the demoniac, and the highly learned Vaishnavas. So this is another of his great qualities, that he takes this service of giving ghosts and demons his association. If you remember from the incident of Kardam Muni and Diti, when Diti approached Kardam Muni for the physical union at the wrong time, Kardam Muni told her that this is a time when Lord Shiva travels with all the ghosts and goblins, and he sees whoever is uniting at this time. So he lets those ghosts enter the womb of such kind of women, so that they can get a body. He is so merciful from the ghosts, and he is basically punishing the people who's having intercourse at the wrong time. But Shivji, he gives his association to such personalities who don't have the body, who don't have the gross body to go on further. Otherwise, who would give them the association? Everybody would run away looking at ghosts and demons, but Shivji gives them the association. And he is a spiritual master of Vaishnavas. He has his own sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Vaishnava Sampradaya is there. It is also stated, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. Shambhu, Lord Shiva, is the greatest of all Vaishnavas. On one hand, he is a worshipable object of the dull demons, and on the other, he is the best of all Vaishnavas or devotees. And he has a sampradaya called the Rudra Sampradaya. Even if he is an enemy or sometimes angry, such a personality cannot be the object of envy. So Vidura, in astonishment, asked why he has taken as such, especially by Daksha. Daksha is also not an ordinary person. He is a Prajapati, in charge of fathering population, and all his daughters are highly elevated, especially Sati. The word Sati means the most chaste. Whenever there is consideration of chastity, Sati, this wife of Lord Shiva and daughter of Daksha, is considered first. Vidura therefore was astonished. Daksha is such a great man, he thought, and is the father of Sati. And Lord Shiva is a spiritual master of everyone. How then could there possibly be so much enmity between them that Sati, the most chaste goddess, could give up her body because of their quarrel? So when Vidurji is kind of astonished what is happening, what happened. Etadakhya hi me brahman jamatu shurasya cha vidveshastu yata pranas tatyaje dustya jan sati. My dear Maitreya, to part with one's life is very difficult. Would you kindly explain to me how such a son-in-law and father-in-law could quarrel so bitterly that the great goddess Sati could give up her life? Maitreya Vacha, Pura Vishwasrijam Satre, Sameta Paramarishya, Tatha Margana Sarve Sanuga Munyavagnya. The sage Maitreya said, in a former time, the leaders of the universal creation performed a great sacrifice, in which all the great sages, philosophers, demigods, and fire gods assembled with their followers. So the great sacrifice was arranged by the leaders of the universal creation. So let's see. Upon being asked by Vidura, the great sage, Maitreya began to explain the cause of the misunderstanding between Lord Shiva and Daksha, because of which the goddess Sati gave up her body. Thus begins the history of a great sacrifice performed by the leaders of the universal creation, namely Marichi, Daksha, and Vasishtha. So they were the leaders, they were the hosts of that sacrifice. These great personalities arranged for a great sacrifice, for a demigod like Indra and the fire gods assembled with their followers. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva were also present. Tatra pravishtam rishu drishtvarkavimev rocisha bhrajamanam vitimiram kurvantam tan mahatsadaha. When Daksha, the leader of the Prajapatis, entered that assembly, his personal body luster, as bright as the effulgence of the sun, the entire assembly was illuminated, and all the assembled personalities became insignificant in his presence. So Daksha is not an ordinary person. So along with Marichi and Vashishta, he is performing a sacrifice. And when he entered that assembly, his bodily luster was as great, as bright as the effulgence of sun. And all the assembled personalities, all the demigods, all their followers, they became insignificant in his presence. Udatishtan sadasyaste swadhishnebhya sakhagneha rite virincham sharvam cha tadbhasik shakta chetasaha. Influenced by his personal bodily luster, all the fire gods and other participants in the great assembly, with the exceptions of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, gave up their own sitting places and stood in respect for Daksha. So this is a custom, tradition, that if some great person comes, everybody stands up to welcome him, to honor him. And this happens pretty much all over the world. Sadasaspatir bhir daksho bhagwan sadhu satkrita ajam loka gurum natva nishasantadagyaya. Daksha was adequately welcomed by the president of the great assembly, Lord Brahma. After offering Lord Brahma respect, Daksha, by the order of Brahma, properly took his seat. Prangnicharnam rinam drishtva namrishyat tad anadrita vacha vamam chakshurvyam abhivikshya dahan iva. Before taking his seat, however, Daksha was very much offended to see Lord Shiva sitting and not showing him any respect. At that time, Daksha became greatly angry, and his eyes glowing, he began to speak very strongly against Lord Shiva. So when Daksha came in that assembly, everybody stood up except two people, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Now Lord Brahma is obviously on a higher position than Daksha, he didn't have to get up. But Lord Shiva's position is even greater than Brahma. He is son-in-law of Daksha, but his position is even better than Brahmaji. So that is why Lord Shiva didn't stand up to welcome Daksha, although Daksha was his father-in-law. So that is when Daksha got very angry. Now, a question can be raised that, okay, Lord Shiva's position technically is better than even Brahmaji, but here, because of relationship, he is inferior to Daksha because he had married Daksha's daughter. So Daksha was almost at the level of his father. So he should have stood up to welcome Daksha. So it has been explained that Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of Krishna, Param Vaishnava. So it's not that Param Vaishnavas cannot show respect to elders. They can and they should. But here, either Lord Shiva himself understood or Krishna as Paramatma directed him not to get up. Because they understood the heart of Daksha, he has become very proud of his position. And Krishna doesn't like this pride in his devotees. So he has to somehow cut down their pride. So either Lord Shiva himself understood the pride in the heart of Daksha, so he wanted to cut it down, or Krishna, as Paramatma, guided him not to get up, because Krishna planned to cut down the pride of Daksha. So let's see, and he speaks so. Although it's part of Srimad Bhagavatam, so we have to read it, but he speaks so disparagingly or disrespectfully towards Lord Shiva. It's it's not even worth reading what he speaks, but since it's part of Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to read. Before taking his seat, however, Daksha was very much offended to see Lord Shiva sitting and not showing him any respect. At that time, Daksha became greatly angry, and his eyes glowing, he began to speak very strongly against Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, being the son-in-law of Daksha, was expected to show his father-in-law respect by standing with the others. But because Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are the principal demigods, their positions are greater than Daksha's. Daksha, however, could not tolerate this, and he took it as an insult by his son-in-law. Previously also, he was not very much satisfied with Lord Shiva, for Shiva looked very poor and was niggardly in dress. So that's why Daksha was always not looking very respectfully towards Lord Shiva. Although he had 16 daughters, and 13 daughters were married to, I forgot, Marichi, I guess, and 2 daughters were married to somebody else, and Sati was married to Shiva. And other son-in-laws, they were very nicely dressed and properly, culturally behaved. But Shiva, no doubt Shiva is on a different level, is in a different category. So he doesn't follow the customs properly that we all have to follow. But that's his position. So Daksha could not understand the position, could not understand, could not appreciate, could not respect the position of Lord Shiva. So he says very disrespectful things. Shruyatam brahmarshayo me sahadeva sahagneya sadhunam druvato vritam nagya nanna chadmatsarat. All sages, Brahmins and fire gods present, please hear me with attention. For I speak about the manners of gentle persons. I do not speak out of ignorance or envy. Although his heart was full of envy towards Lord Shiva, but he's trying to tell everybody, whatever I'm going to say, it's not out of ignorance or out of envy. In speaking against Lord Shiva, Daksha tried to pacify the assembly by presenting in a very tactful way that he was going to speak about the manners of gentle persons, although naturally this might affect some unmannerly upstarts and the assembly might be unhappy because they did not want even unmannerly persons to be offended. In other words, he was in complete knowledge that he was speaking against Lord Shiva in spite of Shiva's spotless character. As far as envy is concerned, from the very beginning he was envious of Lord Shiva. Therefore, he could not distinguish his own particular envy. Although he spoke like a man in ignorance, he wanted to cover his statements by saying that he was not speaking for impudent and envious reasons. Psychologically, it is said that if some behavior in somebody bothers us, is actually those qualities are within ourselves. If Lord Shiva's not showing him proper respect was bothering Lord Shiva and bothering Daksha, it was because he had those qualities in himself. Lord Shiva did not purposefully disrespect Daksha, but here Daksha will purposefully with malicious heart and full of envy, he'll speak so much against Lord Shiva. And then he says, oh, I'm not speaking out of envy. It's all completely envy. So basically we have to see what is it in others that triggers us. Many times it triggers us. Or we look at others. Suppose, to give an example, if we see somebody going with a girl, now that girl, that person, the relationship could be anything. But because in our heart, if there is a tinge of enjoying sexually with girls, we will also look at that person's relationship with that girl in the same way. We'll not look at it otherwise. Because it's in our heart. Our consciousness is covered up, or our eyes, if we are wearing eyeglasses of red color, tinged with red color, we'll see everything red. It's not that everything is red, but it's not our original eyes are red, it's just they're covered with the red color glasses. So there are many things in the material world, because this story is a wonderful story, and we should learn from it how not to make mistakes. What Daksha did, although a great personality, wonderful personality. Just imagine his daughter is Sati and his son-in-law is Lord Shiva. Still, he makes a great offense. Ayam tu lokapalana yashodho nirpatrapah sadghira charita pantha yena stabdhena dushitaha. Shiva has spoiled the name and fame of the governors of the universe and has polluted the path of gentle manners. Because he is shameless, he does not know how to act. Daksha wanted to impress upon the minds of all the great sages assembled in that meeting that Shiva, being one of the demigods, had ruined the good reputations of all the demigods by his unmannerly behavior. The words used against Lord Shiva by Daksha can also be understood in a different way, in a good sense. For example, he stated that Shiva is Yashoghna, which means one who spoils name and fame. So this also can be interpreted to mean that he was so famous that his fame killed all other fame. So different acharyas give different meanings. Again, Daksha used the word Nirapatrapa, which also can be used in two senses. One sense is one who is stunted, and another sense is one who is the maintainer of persons who have no other shelter. Generally, Lord Shiva is known as the Lord of the Bhutas, or lower grade of living creatures. They take shelter of Lord Shiva because he is very kind to everyone and is very quickly satisfied. Therefore, he is called Ashutosh. To such men who cannot approach other demigods of Vishnu, Lord Shiva gives shelter. Therefore, the word Nirpatrap can be used in that sense. So, acharyas have given here different meanings of the words Daksha is using. And similarly, when Krishna was being insulted by Shishupal, so whatever Shishupal was saying, acharyas have given different meaning. From their heart, he was glorifying Krishna in one sense. Or there is a beautiful pastime between Krishna and Rukmini. And Krishna was teasing Mother Rukmini. But there also acharyas have given different meanings of every word that Krishna said. So Sanskrit is it's a wonderful language. So every word can be interpreted in a different way. Uh, so although Lord Shiva did not take any offense, he did not start any fight after hearing whatever nonsense Daksha was speaking. He just left the assembly. But here it shows the heart of Daksha, or the heart of a very, very envious person. So who could be? I mean, Daksha is offending Lord Shiva, and there Shishupal was offending Krishna because of the envy. They had so much of envy in their heart. And Daksha, I mean, okay, he didn't get respected, but he got respect from so many other demigods. Even Lord Brahma, he acknowledged what Daksha was doing. He kind of paid respect to Daksha. Should have been happy. But because of this enviousness in our heart, we look at the person who we are envious of with so much of malicious intent that anything he does or anything he says, it just burns our heart, just makes us very uncomfortable, very angry. But that's a problem in our heart, not the problem with that person. And that is why this envy is considered the foremost of the six anarthas in our heart. Kama, Krova, Lobha, Moh, Mad, Matsarya. Matsarya means the enviousness. And it's kept last because it's most difficult to take out of our hearts. This anartha is most difficult to get rid of. And until we get rid of it, we cannot become proper, pure devotee because we won't become humble and we won't be able to respect everybody and we won't be able to expect no respect from others. And that is the prerequisite of chanting permanently, constantly. Trinada Peshani Chena, Taroriva Sahishnuna, Manina, Manadena, then only then we can do Kirtanya Sadahari. So Amanina, I don't want any respect from others. And on top of it, Mandina, give respect to everybody else. That can only happen when we are not envious of others. When we look at only the good qualities in others and try to see how I can develop those qualities. Not that if somebody has better qualities in me, I become envious of him and try to bring him down to my level. That's not how we grow in bhakti. Everybody has good qualities. Every single person has good qualities. Every single living entity, whether animate, inanimate, he has good qualities. When we get to 12th canto, whenever we get to that, we'll see how there are 24 gurus, Dattatreya, I think. I forgot who's guru. So he has 24 gurus, means one guru was a bumblebee, one guru was a python. So he was learning from everyone. It means he was seeing good qualities in everybody. So we have to make our hearts so clean that we start looking at the good qualities of everybody. Whether we want to associate with that person or not, that's a different story. If we're not at that level that we can remain steady in our bhakti, even if we associate with somebody, now it doesn't. Then that's a different story. But at the same time, we have to look for good qualities in others, not artificially, but from the bottom of our heart. And then there's no harm in praising and glorifying that quality of that person. Because ultimately we want to make sure that we are making progress in bhakti. So this enviousness is very, very dangerous anartha in our heart, and it has to be taken out. It has to be taken out. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I was hearing this katha a few days back, and I heard something little different about Lord Shiva's not getting up from his seat when Daksha was entering the arena.
Okay.
So it was mentioned by the speaker, Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, that Lord Shiva was paying respects to all living entities.
We lost you. Haribol? Oh, I guess he got some phone problems. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandapana.
Prabhuji, I could not understand this, the last verse. It is mentioned here about you, Lord Shiva, as he stated that Shiva is Yashogna on his days, and another one is like Nirapatrapa. So, like how it is correlating in terms of like the good part, how like I could not understand actually. Can you please again explain?
Okay. Yashogna means one who spoils name and fame of others. And according to Daksha, said, okay, he's married my daughter and my name and fame and my family's name and fame is gone because he's such a person who doesn't even cover himself properly and lives in crematory grounds or this or that. But our acharyas have explained that Shiva, Lord Shiva, is Yashogna because he's so famous. In front of him, nobody can be more famous than him. So he kills the fames of others because he's more famous than anybody else. I mean, this killing of fame is in a positive sense, not a negative. But Daksha, when he says, he said it in a negative way. And then Nirpatrapa. So Nirpatrapa, here in the shloka, Prabhupada has translated it as shameless. Again, shameless. So Prabhupada says in the purport, one sense is one who's stunted, and the other is one who's maintainer of persons who have no other shelter. So for Lord Shiva, the second meaning is perfect because he's a maintainer of persons, a maintainer of ghosts and goblins who have no other shelter. Nobody else gives them shelter. So Lord Shiva takes a responsibility of giving them the shelter. So that's how he can be Nirpatrapa.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sorry, I was talking and then suddenly my speaker went off. Are you able to hear me now?
We thought some phone problem is there. Yeah, please tell what Prabhuji was saying about this meeting.
Yeah, he was saying that Lord Shiva was in the assembly when he was there, when Daksha was entering the arena. Lord Shiva was meditating with his eyes closed. That was one reason. And another reason is Lord Shiva was always mentally offering obeisances to all the living entities because he sees the super soul in the heart of all living beings. So by both these counts, he was not supposed to expect any respect from Lord Shiva at that moment. But still out of envy only, he was accusing Lord Shiva of various faults.
Mhm.
So, and going by whatever happened in this episode, it didn't seem that Daksha was envious, but Daksha was angry because he expected respect. So when we expect respect and somebody doesn't give, we get angry. How can that anger be called as envy? So do you know of any events in the past? Because Prabhupada mentions that from the beginning, Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva, even before probably Lord Shiva married Parvati. So before that also maybe he was envious. But do you know of any events in the past where Daksha displayed that envy towards Lord Shiva? Any incident in the past? Because
Uh,
I
well,
don't. Sorry, Prabhu.
it comes in these shlokas. Basically, he says, Brahmaji told me to get Sati married to Shiva. I was not inclined towards that, but Brahmaji, he told me. And in other words, it is, Prabhupada explains that he was even blaming Brahmaji, that even he doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
So,
Yes,
so that, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Prabhu. Yes, that is evident that Dakshina did not like Lord Shiva because of his demeanor, because he was poor, he didn't have a house, he was wearing all these rough clothes. So that cannot be called as a envy, no? Envy means we envy his position. Yes, in this case, there is one reason Daksha could have been envious of Lord Shiva because of his fame. But because of that envy only was he mentioning all these faults, or was he seeing these faults actually also, because he was very well dressed, so he was averse to such people. So how do we conclude that Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva?
One was of fame, and other qualities will come later on when Daksha keeps on saying all the negative things about Lord Shiva,
Okay.
um, and that's what it is concluded that he was very envious, and because of envy he became angry.
Right. Another point here made by Prabhupada is when people become so envious and their heart burns in envy due to the person whom they are envious of, they become very tactful also to cover up their envy and then accuse the other person in such a way that nobody suspects them. So this is a very beautiful point made by Prabhupada.
Yeah, here Daksha was, I mean, he could cover up his enviousness, but sometimes people don't. I mean, it depends. It varies from person to person. But the point is, we have this enviousness attitude in our heart. This anartha is there, very much there.
Right.
We have to get rid of it.
Now, there are two things, Prabhu, about envy and jealousy. So jealousy and envy, what is the difference? This is one question. And as far as my understanding is concerned, jealousy is when we feel that somebody has got better things than me. Maybe somebody is more famous than me, somebody is having more wealth than me, or more beauty than me, all these things. But as long as we are not doing any harm to that person, then it is not a evil. But when somebody becomes jealous and this jealousy burns and we want to hurt the other person who is more famous or more wealthy and more beautiful than us, then it is called envy. So according to this, all of us, you can call, we have envy, maybe which is the passion, which is the passive form of envy. But real envy means to really become very harmful to the other person. So is this a correct understanding?
I just went online to answer this question of jealousy versus envy.
Okay.
So it says, Merriam-Webster dictionary says, Jealousy is clearly a worse emotion than envy. Jealousy is by definition refers to the thoughts of or feelings of insecurity, fear and concern, and envy over relative lack of possessions, status, or something of great personal value. So envy is, some people say it's the same, but here it says envy is an emotion of coveting what someone else has, while jealousy is an emotion related to fear that something you have will be taken away by someone else. I guess they're just
They're not very clear.
siblings. They're just siblings
Mm.
of each other.
No, we have seen that when I was young, so I used to feel jealous. But immediately after that, I feel that it is not correct because somebody's life is better than me because of his karma. He had a different set of karmas with which he is born. So I was not born with such good karma, so I'm not having that. So immediately I could reconcile and become pacified. So this I used to think is jealousy. But envy is when we see that some people act in a very harmful way. Like I feel jealous or I feel envious of somebody, I start speaking bad about that person, even though he has not done any harm to me. Means I find his faults and then highlight it to others. So this is very damaging to the reputation of the other person. So this is what I feel is envious, and Prabhupada also mentions envy is the immediate disqualification of a Vaishnava. So a Vaishnava
Oh,
does
yeah,
not
that's
envious,
for
but
sure. That is for sure. It's just how we control it. That's up to us. As you said, I mean, knowledge says, okay, he has done better karma, so he's reaping the benefits of those. So why get envious? But it's there. If not in gross form, in very subtle form, it's
right.
there.
So I asked my Guru Maharaj also. He said, if there is no envy in our hearts, we would not have taken these material bodies and come into this world. So we were all, first of all, envious of Krishna, and that's why we have come. Maybe it is not come to the surface now, but when an opportunity comes, we may show that envy. But I feel
Yeah,
that when we
it could be in different degrees in every person.
yeah,
That's also possible.
right. Okay, Prabhu, thank you. I got some idea.
Hare
This is
Krishna, Prabhuji.
difficult. Yes, beta. Hare Krishna.
I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, being the governor of the universe and a great Vaishnava, Prajapati himself, could not escape from all this malice, I mean, or negativities. So, like, because one thing we say, like, Lord says, even if you are chanting um, not correctly also, but if your heart is pure, then a Lord can directly wash away your sinful activities from your heart. So Prajapati was a great Vaishnava also, and he used to do all the rituals every day, worshipping God and all. So like how he could not get away or escape from his all bad, I mean, emotional hurt. And second thing is, so what could be the one particular point where we need to focus not to draw all these anarthas in our life?
So, see, anybody in the material world, just like Prabhuji said, and it has been explained by Prabhupada, that we are in the material world because of only one quality, enviousness. Envious of Krishna. How come he's a Lord, he's a center of attraction, he's the center of all the services. Why not me? Why he is the proprietor, controller, enjoyer of everything? Why not me? So we became envious of him and then we fell down. And once in the material world, everybody is envious to certain more or less extent. And this is why all these stories are there. Daksha is a great personality, otherwise he wouldn't have been mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam and mentioned over and over again. So great personality, but still can be fallen to the victim of all these anarthas. It is possible. So how to make sure we don't fall victim of that? First, we have to see and admit that I am envious. I have some envy. Daksha here is saying, oh, I'm not envious and that's why I'm speaking. But he should have done some introspection. He didn't. But we should. And if there is, and even if I don't maybe understand, maybe I can justify, I am not envious of somebody else. Even if I can justify, fine. But out of humility, out of my own serve others, especially the person I'm envious of. So I think he or she is better than me. In any way, I should serve him. I should glorify him or her. Why we say, although Prabhupada never asked us, it just started maybe at his time or afterwards. At the end of email or any message, we say, your humble servant. I know we don't mean it, but we still say, your humble servant. Every morning, at least in the temples, whenever we attend morning program, towards the end, we pay obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. We say, Vancha Kaltarabhya. So although I know we don't really mean it, but why we keep on saying it? So at least it comes into practice. If we don't say it, it will never come into practice. So we say it. So every day when we are reminding ourselves, we keep on continuing on saying this thing, it will come into practice that every Vaishnava is a Kalpatarubhya, that he is a desire tree, he can fulfill my desires. And Kripa Sindhubhya, he is the ocean of mercy. Maybe the other person is not even showing those symptoms, but this is for our heart to be purified. We have to develop those positive qualities in our positive emotions, positive feelings in ourselves, and that is better for me. So we have to do whatever is best for me, my bhakti, my service, my progress. So, excuse me, sorry. So we have to try to do that. We have to. There is no other option. There is no other way out. And as long as we have envy, even to a subtle degree, we cannot go back to the spiritual world. Spiritual world means no envy, nirvara, no enviousness. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, he says, I am giving you this knowledge because you're my devotee, you're my friend, and you're non-envious of me. 3 qualities he mentioned clearly. Non-envious is one of the major qualities.
Okay. So,
Is that okay?
yes, Prabhu. So, like what I have understood, you mentioned that it's like we need to every day practice introspection or scanning of our own thoughts. That way we can enhance.
Yep.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. So I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful and safe day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
Jai
Ram.
Srila
Krishna,
Prabhupada.
Jai Srila